We are here today with Mr. Zeth Young, who's a member of our staff. He's going to tell us a little bit about his experience in the military, his experience being a veteran, and what it means to both him and to our country to honor these great people on today, Veterans Day. So Zeth, if I can have you start off, tell us a little bit about what you do here with us during the school year.
Yeah, I'm a teaching assistant, so I'm in different classes, and I just try to help kids get better grades that need a little bit extra help. I'm a football coach, so I really enjoy doing that, getting out there and just helping the kids.
So Zeth is a former member of the military. If I can you tell us what exactly did you do in the military? What branch were you in, and what kind of time frame was that?
Yeah, so I was an intelligence analyst in the Army. I was airborne, so I was stationed in Alaska for 3 years right outside Anchorage. Basically, my job scope was to analyze courses of action for war, whether that be at the strategic level, as if are we going to war, or at a battlefield level, as far as tactics go and stuff like that. Outside that, that's really all I did.
So you were up in Alaska for 3 years, you said?
Yep.
Okay, so was it as cold in Alaska as we all probably think it is?
Yeah, absolutely. From November until probably the end of March, you do not see the sun very much. From February until March is always in negatives. You have to plug your car up to a little electrical thing so the motor doesn't freeze overnight. But May through August, it is the prettiest place in the world. All green and all blue.
That's awesome. Okay, so when did, we have a lot of students here right now that might be thinking, maybe this is a route for me. Maybe the military is an option for me. When did you know that the military was something that interested you and you wanted to pursue?
I went to Washington, D.C. right before my senior year with my dad. And I have 3 brothers in the military too, so I was always inclined to, I really liked the military, knew a lot about it. But anyways, I went to Washington, D.C., and I just saw the monuments and the history of the country, and it made me very proud to be here. And on the drive back, I vividly remember thinking about the people in our community. Obviously, I'm from Spencer County, but same community as Perry. We're neighbors. And just how hard they worked and everything they did, especially the farmers. And the way of life here really spoke to me as a young child, honestly. And I wanted to protect that, and I think it was something worth fighting for.
That's pretty awesome. So you said you had 3 brothers that were in it. From a parent standpoint, did they push you towards it? Were they reluctant to let you go? How did that work with your
No,
family?
My mom was actually dead set against me going. She did not want me to go. My dad knew that's something I always wanted to do, and my dad was really supportive of that. He always jokes and says that he raised a platoon, so the Army should be paying him, because me and my 3 brothers all went to the Army. But once I got in, my parents couldn't have been more supportive. They understood, once I explained to them why I wanted to do it, and nothing but support from that day forward.
So when you were in middle school, high school, the age that we are, with our students here from 18 all the way down to about 13 or 14, during that time, who were some of your big influences on you, and did they push you towards this, or looking back, was that a reason for this, or were they just good influences?
I'd say my biggest influence was probably my history teacher, Mr. Fisher. He didn't directly influence me to go to the military, but it's something that we spoke about often. He was also my football coach, and like I said, he didn't directly push me into it, but he said if I wanted to take that route, I'd be really successful at it. So, it just really gave me the confidence and just made me want to do it.
Well, I'm sure there's some things that you probably can't tell us while you're there. I get that. But what are 1 or 2 really cool experiences that you were able to have because you enlisted in the military that you wouldn't otherwise?
So the first experience that I always tell people is that you meet people in the Army from all walks of life. My 3 best friends in the Army that I was with every day was a dude from LA, inner city LA, a guy from inner city Chicago, and a guy that grew up in Germany. So just having that diversity, it really expands your mind and lets you think outside the box, and you're kind of closed in if you're in your own community all the time. So it really helps broaden your mind to the worldview.
Pretty cool.
And then The second experience that I always like to talk about is in February in Alaska. I jumped out. I was airborne, so I jumped out of a plane under the northern lights. And I'll never forget it as long as I live, just looking up and, the northern lights are out there and snow's below you. It was really fun until I hit the ground and snow was up to my waist.
What would you tell some of our students here? Because I know we have some juniors and seniors that have discussed it with us, possibly doing this. What would you tell our kids who are thinking about doing this?
I would say it's a great route to go to. You can serve a minimum at 3 years, and then you get your college paid for if it's something you didn't like. But most people that go in for that reason end up staying in, from the people I know in the military. And the reason is the community in the military is so tight-knit. Once you get there, a lot of people don't like to leave if you're there for the right reasons. So I would say go for it. At minimum it's 3 years, and you get a lot back from it.
What skills? What do our students need to be able to succeed in the military? What skills or soft skills or knowledge?
I think the skills you need are just resiliency. You need to be resilient. You need to be accountable for yourself and others, and you need to be open to taking on leadership roles. Because when you have soldiers in the military, their life really depends on you from the time they wake up until they go to bed. They're listening to you for advice and every directive. So.
And what about our country makes you proud to be a veteran?
So one thing that makes me really proud to be an American is just how hard Americans work. Americans always stood for freedom and stood for goodness throughout the world, whether it be World War II, the Korean War, Iraq. And what makes me the most proud to be an American, right before I left the Army in April of 2018, a guy from Iraq came into my office for a security clearance. I gave out security clearances for a while right before I left. And I saw he's from Iraq, so I asked him, I was like, why are you in the American Army? We were just at war with your country. We were still in the country at that time. And he said that the American medics, when the war first started, gave him aid and food when he didn't have any food or running water. And so the units that were coming through his town would always give him food and give him aid and all that to his town. And he said he looked up to the American soldier because they were brave and they were inherently good. And that really made me proud to be an American.
Yeah. And then last question, what does, as a member of the veteran community, what does Veterans Day mean to you? Veterans
Day to me means just taking some time out of your day and appreciating those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. There's some people that went to war and didn't get to make it back, and I like to think about them. And I also like to think about the guys that did go to war and physically came back but mentally never made it. So that's kind of what I think about on Veterans Day, just appreciating those guys.
Well, I mean, on behalf of all of our students, staff, and everybody, we appreciate and we commend you on your service in the military. It's pretty awesome. We've got a great community of veterans that live here locally, and we respect, everything that they've done for us. And like you said, we live in arguably the best country in the world because of riding the backs of people like you and the others who have served before us. So
I appreciate it.
On behalf of our students and staff, thank you for everything you've done. It's been awesome, and we hope for all of you guys watching this that maybe this has inspired somebody to take up their cause and be a part of the military as well. And I don't want to put words in Mr. Young's mouth, but if anybody is interested, I'm sure he'd be willing to talk to anybody who is considering this.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Zeth.
Thanks.